Hi everyone, hope you're well. Oftentimes when we are faced with difficult situations or when there seems to be an issue that needs to be addressed, the go-to route for most people is emotions. They become emotional. And I should say that emotion in itself is not a bad thing. After all, we are all human, and one of the things that make us human is emotions, right? But emotions has the capacity, to cloud one sense of judgment. It has a capacity to cloud one sense of reasoning. It can also blur one's vision. So if at all you are interested in any kind of constructive conversation, a conversation that is looking out for an objective conclusion, then it's important to detach emotions from whatever it is that is being talked about. Emotion doesn't get anyone anywhere. We don't get anyone anywhere. Especially when you are talking about serious issues here. You need to detach emotions from whatever it is that you are deliberating on. Now, imagine the person who is being emotional. They are not being able to coherently put their words together. The one who is listening to them also is thinking, oh, if I don't succumb to this person's emotional talk, does that make me a bad person? So there's so much at play, and eventually you might not arrive at the best conclusion for that issue. And I should say this: you being objective, right, or you being honest with someone about what it is that you're talking about doesn't really make you a bad person. You saying, this is a conversation that needs to be had and emotions should not be involved doesn't make you a bad person. If at all, it makes you a good person, because if you are emotional and you make an emotional decision and it backfires later and that person later realizes that, maybe they were not up to what you put them for, then they might hate you for it. So it's always very important to be as sincere as possible, to be as honest as possible. There's a place for emotion, right? There's a place for emotion, I should say that. But not every conversation, should involve emotion. If you want an objective end goal, if you want to be productive, sometimes you need to detach emotions from whatever it is that is being talked about. Now, the other word for emotions that we could use in place of emotion would be sentiment. A lot of people are very sentimental. Something needs to be done. The question should be, who can do it best? Right? Who can do it best? That should be the question. So the moment you place sentiment above productivity, you would have issues, right? So it's important that when there's something serious that needs to be done, when we're talking about issues that need to be addressed, it is very important to leave sentiment aside and address the issue based on the facts that is available. Sentiments, emotions would not get anyone anywhere. Now, I should say that, of course, there's a place for emotions. I'll say that again, there's a place for emotions, right? There's a place for good sentiments. But oftentimes, sentiments, emotions, and the likes do not, aid progress. Instead, they hinder progress. And if you want somebody to be, to make progress with their lives, sometimes you need to be as honest as possible. And by the way, you should be honest every time. You should be sincere. There's no point faking things. Say things the way they are. And I should also mention, there's always a good way to say some of those things. While I've said emotions doesn't have a place in some conversations, even when you want to be direct or when you need to be direct as possible, it's also very important to look for the best possible way to say those things. There are different ways to say certain things. There's a way you can say something that is right in a wrong way. So I guess the end goal should be to look for how to say what you need to say in the best possible way without mincing words and without, confusing the person you are talking to. So everything I'm saying so far borders on this. Emotions, is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But there are conversations that needs to be had without emotions. If the end goal is for things to be productive or for you to be as objective as possible, then you need to detach emotions from those conversations. And if you are also someone who is sentimental, of course, there are times when there's what we call good sentiment, but oftentimes sentiments can also hinder progress. So it's good to move away from that path, right? Move away from that path, the path of sentiments and emotions. And if you're one of those who play the emotional card, like they call it emotional blackmail, you emotionally will blackmail people, please stop, right? It takes no one anywhere. Whatever you get from emotional blackmail would not last. Even if you get it, you're only getting the fake of what you thought you got, not the real one. So it's important that we, especially as Christians and as individuals, that we begin to have sincere conversations, honest conversations. Not telling people what they want to hear. Tell them what is right. Tell them the right thing. Like I said, there's always a good way to say what is right, because sometimes what is right might not be what those you are talking to want to hear. So it's important to balance it with grace, but it still needs to be said. Some things just have to be said. So I guess it's a matter of looking for our best to say it, as long as the meaning is not lost, in the process. So I hope this stirs up something within someone and encourages them to navigate their way, especially when it gets to talking about issues or addressing situations or even having personal relationship with people. Try as much as possible to be as honest as you can. Try as much as possible to be as sincere as you can. Try as much as possible to not let emotions cloud your sense of judgment. Don't let emotions cloud your sense of reasoning, and also don't let emotions blur your vision. God bless you, and hopefully I'll see you on a future video. God bless you. Bye-bye.